and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Keeping It Real Estate Show. My name is Dan Breezy. Mike Roeder's on a due diligence assignment. Today we have a super unique guest. His name is Ben Humble, and I met Ben at a real estate event recently and was taken back just by his story, and was really impressed with just who he was as a person. And I thought that having Ben come on could add a lot of value to you guys. So Ben, thanks for being on with us today, dude.
Man, I'm so happy to be here with you, brother Dan. Let's help some people, man.
Yeah, that's what I like about you. You're here to add value to people. So I think let's just start a little bit with your background. Where are you from, and how did you? Because you're not from here. You grew up in Romania. So let's start start way back then.
Yeah, so I was born in a communist country, Romania, 1985. During that time, you weren't allowed to think for yourself. You weren't allowed to do. There was no freedom of faith, expression, none of that stuff. And my dad had 5 kids in Romania, and he made a decision. He said, I can't let my kids grow up in this environment. My kids need to be free. They need to be able to pursue the things that he valued in life, which to him was his faith and his freedom. And that's where we started. So we escaped in 1989, 6 months before the communist revolution. So we actually escaped on foot. We risked our lives. Dad grabbed 3 of us by the arm, and I remember him telling me the story that he had to make a choice. He had 5 kids, and he had to make a choice that he had to leave 2 of them behind so he could make the journey. And he prayed to God that if he got where he was supposed to get, which was a refugee camp, that hopefully he could send back or get help from the Red Cross to intervene and reunite the family at some point. That was the faith that he had. So he had to leave my brother and sister, and we ran across that border. It took just over 2 days. 2 days of hiding during the day and crossing the border at night, and a car would pick us up and it would take us to the next border, and we would hide again. And he walked up to a refugee camp in Austria, 2 countries away, with 3 little kids, babies in the arms, him, my mom, and a small group of travelers. And they just said, we're here. So that was the beginning of my life. 6 months later or less, they killed the president of Romania on live television with his wife, Elena. They shot him in the head. And shortly after, my mom came home from the hospital because she was pregnant when she ran with her 6th daughter. And on the same day she came home from the hospital with child number 6, my brother and sister were reunited from Romania. So in the morning, they had 3 kids. In the evening, they had 6 in a refugee camp. And that's the most blessed a person can be in the world. Talk about gratitude and faith. Talk about perspective and awareness.
Yeah.
Your family's reunited on the day that you came home with your 6th child. So that was the beginning of my life, dude. I'm an immigrant who really values his story, really values the experience and the adversity.
Holy shit. I just got to jump in and just, I mean, do you guys hear what happened here in Ben's life at such a young age? Imagine being that dad. I'm a dad. I have kids, and I think about going there, and I can only take just a few. The others I have to leave behind. What an experience and what a challenge that would have been as a human being. I think about my life, how easy my life has been. I hear what you've gone through. I hear a communist country, can't think for yourself, no freedom. And here, my whole life, I've just taken freedom for granted. I mean, realistically, I get up, I do what I want, I think what I want, I kind of say what I want. Teachers tell me don't say that, and I keep saying what I want to say. And you don't realize how good you have it until you hear these stories. This really happened. This is a real life story right here that we're talking with Ben. And I just, I'm thoroughly impressed. So you get here, you guys are here. Now what?
Well, they're typical immigrants working 2-3 jobs. Dad had aspirations of becoming a pastor. He was a Christian back home, and he wasn't allowed to be. So he came here, and through working 2-3 jobs, him and my mom, they had 3 more kids in Canada, because this is where we came, is to Canada. So I'm the oldest of 9 kids. And Dad, who was greatest mentor I've ever had, was Dad and Mom, 2 of the most incredible humans alive. And I watched Dad grow and grow and grow. Eventually, he got a doctorate in theology, became a minister in Canada. My mom ran her own business for years. And I saw these 2 people aspire, struggle, succeed, overcome. And they did so much good in the world. They helped bring so many Romanians and people to Canada. They helped pour into so many people's lives. They have been the greatest givers I've ever seen. So watching these 2 people, how they do life, put in me this whole thing of, it doesn't matter where you start. It doesn't matter what your adversity is. You ultimately decide where you end up so long as you keep moving forward. This whole humble thing is about three things. It's about giving when you don't want to give. It's about gratitude for the little that you have. And then it's about growth, the three G's, but it's in that order. Give first, grateful, growth. And that to me is such a powerful lens by which I've lived my life. And I've used to start business and do all the things I've done, is just grow every single day, be thankful every single day. Because otherwise, you could have been a small communist kid that never made it. How many people, I think about this often, how many people in my home country would have traded positions with the kid trying to escape? How many people would have traded positions with me going to an English speaking school in a free part of the world? And to me, it's just incredible how blessed we are.
Dude, I love it. A couple points you brought up that inspire me is, you know, you have the 2 to 3 jobs your mom and dad, they were pushing it. They were grateful to be here and took the opportunity to go like hell. So unbelievable. Are your parents still alive?
Yeah, they
They're
are. They're alive. They're doing well. They're healthy.
living in
They've got
Canada?
dozens of grandchildren living in Canada,
Awesome.
and I'm thankful for them.
I hope one day I can meet him. I'd love to talk to your dad and mom. They sound like amazing people. But the other piece that is super inspiring, and I think parents, you need to hear this, is he had parents who followed their dreams and kind of showed him, this is how you live a successful, like, this life. This is how you get after it. This is how you move the needle. And they did that by pushing themselves. And I think sometimes I see parents that I think they could do more, could be more. And maybe that's me just being judgmental, but I think that there's so much more we can show our kids by just following your dreams and your passions and showing them by doing. So that's a unbelievable gift you got. And I think probably part of the reason you're so dang driven. So now you're moving here, you're growing up. How old are you when you actually move out? And how did you move from Canada down here to the US?
So I spent 30 years in Canada doing all kinds of things, from business to real estate investing to mentorship, launching community. And in the last couple of years, I decided to travel. I made a promise to my wife. So I met another Romanian girl in Romanian church. I lived in Canada. She lived in Michigan. And we got married. I was 23 years old. We've been married for 14 years. And when we got married, I said, I want to live life to the most full and enjoyable way we can do this and impact people all around the world. I want to live life on the road for a while. So I said, one day we will do that. And the lockdown was horrible for a lot of people, but for me, it was an opportunity to do the things that maybe would not have happened had a lockdown not occurred. I got into the best shape of my life. I hit the gym nonstop. My business went completely virtual. So we were able to move everything online through technology and portable offices and Zoom and all that stuff. And during the middle of that, I said, we have found our window. There's nothing keeping us here. We need to travel. So in a season when most people were afraid, complacent, unwilling to move, for me, it came back to those memories of being a child going, there's no such thing as bondage or as adversity. I'm a free man. So we made a choice for freedom, and that freedom led us to living all over the United States, traveling, and we lived in luxury Airbnbs and hotels for about a year. Just like we would get bored of a city and go to the next city. And we always wanted to live that way, and we finally had a reason to do so. So that's what our life has been like the last couple of years.
Dude, I love that story. I love that you're reminded of what it was like in Romania. And here you're like, you know what? No, I'm in a free country. Let's go and see the country. Let's go and travel. I mean, that is so awesome. And then you're getting into shape. Your business goes virtual. What is the business? What were you doing, or that you were, and what was it like pre-COVID and after COVID?
Yeah, so from the age of about 25, 26, I really got aggressive into real estate investing in Canada. And the blue collar city that I'm from is across from Detroit, Michigan, automotive town. So in 2009, when Detroit got hit, we all know the stories of how bad that market was. Windsor, Ontario was just as bad, relatively speaking, for Canadians. So the market dropped, and I saw properties drop like 60, 70, 80%. And I really got aggressive in real estate. So I spent probably about 10 years buying real estate, investing in real estate, became a lender, started a mortgage business, did just about everything you can imagine around real estate, strategy like agnostic, if you will, from lending to flipping to being a landlord to wholesaling, and did that and really developed, I hit my target, which was to become a millionaire by the age of 30. And I did that. I hit that target, and I'm looking at my balance sheet with my wife one night, and we had all these plans of like, I'm going to do a millionaire party. I'm going to buy a Lamborghini. I'm going to do all this stuff. and we hit the goal. I look at my wife and I said, well, it was like Christmas Eve or something. What are we going to do? And we looked at each other and we just like went to bed. We were so tired working. I realized that the money wasn't going to give me the fulfillment I was looking for. And that's when I decided that impact was more important than income. So I launched a real estate community. And since 2000, actually, it's just been 3 years now. 3 years as of November, we launched a community called Cashflow Tribe, where we're teaching investors all over Canada how to build their own real estate empires and create freedom for their families. So that's been the business. Education, we still do a lot of real estate deals, transactions. The lending business is active. We have luxury Airbnb. So real estate, education, real estate, all and around that industry is what we've been up to the last couple of years.
I love it. So with all you've done, how did you become educated enough to do these things? Where did you get your knowledge? How did you go from the kid who's in Canada and just like, here I am, to now I'm 25, 26, I'm going to start a real estate business?
Man, I grew up in the school of hard knocks, dude. I worked 2, 3 jobs, and I was in university for music, actually. I wanted to be a musician my whole life. And the teacher looked at me one day and she said, hey, you're like the most talented, but also the laziest kid I have. And I realized, I was like, I was lazy, man. In high school, I took the applied classes, never the academic stuff. Even though I worked 2, 3 jobs, I was like, I'm gonna be a musician. And I kind of took my freedom for granted for a while. And when I actually dropped out of university when she said to me, you're never going to become a high school music teacher if you keep this up. And in a moment, I saw those handcuffs go back on my figuratively, go back on my hands. And I said, well, this isn't for me anyways. I dropped out and I did the only thing that an immigrant kid knows how to do. I cleaned. I started a cleaning service. I got a loan. I bought a carpet cleaning machine. And my mom let me clean my own carpets. She was my very first customer. He paid me $100 to clean my room. It's funny, but that $100 took me down a path of reading books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I started going to every conference. I developed a thirst for knowledge. And I was in a local business networking group, and somebody said, hey, man, you can get much farther with real estate than you can with cleaning. And he gave me this passage out of a book that basically said, if you want to become a millionaire, you have to buy $1 million worth of real estate and then have these people called customers or tenants pay it off. And in 25 years, when the debt's paid, you're a millionaire. And I thought, man, that is way better than cleaning. So I took this on full swing, bro. I went to courses. I would drive to Toronto. I would read all the books. And the evening I was cleaning and stripping and waxing floors and doing all the grunt stuff nobody wants to do. And during the day, I was just studying real estate like a hawk. So I bought my first duplex in 2006. I got creative financing. I bought it with the help of a broker, so I didn't have to put money down. I moved into the upper unit of the duplex for $156 a month plus utilities. I had a tenant already in place. And as soon as I closed on that property, being a little commie kid, I called my brother. I moved it up. I was like, bro, I got every cereal you could, like I got every cereal and 2 jugs of milk and PlayStation. Come over, dude. Like, we're gonna have a feast.
So I want to make sure I understand that you got every cereal and PlayStation. Was it something when you were
everything I wanted? Yeah, because as a kid, man, like sometimes for dinner, man, like we always had food, but we didn't have a lot of choices. There's 9 kids. So dad would come home with a two pack. You know, I'm talking about 2-pack family size cereal, like Cheerios, not Honey Nut, but Cheerios and jugs of milk. And we would have cereal. And I'm like, man, cereal to me was a luxury. It was like a nice luxury. So I bought every cereal that I wanted. The Lucky Charms, the Count Chocula. I just mixed and stuff together. And I'm like, bro, come over. We're having cereal tonight. Bring the PlayStation.
Oh, man.
To me, that was a moment of freedom, dude.
Dude, you gotta love these stories, you know, for again, growing up, we're not that much different, Ben. You know, realistically, I grew up very middle class. Parents didn't give me a penny. I worked odd jobs, 2, 3 jobs, worked my ass off, lived like I was broke, studied and self-learner. So we're not really that different. Now, when you say that you got every kind of cereal, I'm like, cereal? Why would you buy cereal? So there is a difference there of the sense of how you grew up. And I think that it was probably a little more challenging than my lifestyle. So I love that. Did your brother come over?
Yeah, dude, he came over. We played PlayStation. We had cereal. It was a great night. But that's when I got hooked. When I closed on that deal and I realized the power of compound growth, I realized the power of appreciation. I just started reading, man. I didn't have a traditional real estate mentor. I just was so consumed with, I want to figure out money for me and my parents so that I never have to worry about money again. I made myself a promise. I said, one day I'm going to get money figured out so I can go back to playing music on my own terms. I can go back to living life on my own terms. And I don't ever want to put these handcuffs back on. If that means I have to trade 5 years, 10 years, 15 years to figure out this thing called money, that's what I'm going to do. And I remember my dad said something to me that really shaped me. He said, and it was a defining moment for me, but one day he says to me, you know, and just talking about life, Dad says, hey, I wish I would have made more money.
Wish I would have
And I
made
thought
more
about
or not made more.
Dad said, I wish I would have made more money.
Okay.
And I thought about that, and my response was, well, you don't have to, because you made me. Like, this became the thing that I could do. Like, my dad in his generation, he's the one. He's the one that made a massive difference, that changed the lineage, that changed the opportunities for his last name. And I decided that, like, in that moment, is like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to fix the financial thing so my parents, my family, the people that I care about don't have to worry about money. I'll do it for me. And eventually that led to me pushing to do it for a whole nation of Canadians. And that's why I launched the community. That's why I launched the education, is I made that decision to become the financial steward. To become, that's the one thing I could crush.
Yeah, gosh, I love it, dude. And I think that when you talk about it, what's the why? I think you can always tell how far somebody will go when you understand their why. And the real why, the real why of why you're going to do something, either it touches your heart and it moves you and it makes you do things that other people will think you're crazy. I can relate a little bit in the sense of my snowboarding career. I had a unique why, and the why ended up making me do things people thought were crazy. I mean, they would say it like, yeah, Breezy's crazy. He snowboards from 6 in the morning, goes to bed at 3 at night. I mean, he's nonstop around the clock, takes risks. But when you have the why and it's real and it touches your heart, it hits your mind, it hits your gut, it will do things that will be unique. And so I think it's rare. And your dad and mom sound like they were very incredible people. Your dad obviously inspired you. And I love that you took your dad's comment. I think my parents admittedly probably wish they would have made more money as well. And deep down in my gut, my heart, I'm here for them. I'm working on trying to, help them because it feels so good. So, I love that your dad gave you that and you took that the way you took it. And now you're adding so much value to the world by leaving an impact. So, what would be, if there's 2 or 3 things that you think make you or have made you unique or achieve your goals, what would be those few things, 2 or 3 things?
That's a great question, man. I think number one is understanding how defining moments can change and shape your behavior. I started looking at life as a series of defining moments. From the decision I made to pursue financial freedom, to the decision I made to be a musician, to marrying my wife. These are all defining things. These are all very consequential decisions. And I realized that if I started living with intention, really, really deep intention, and not live a frivolous existence, but so intentional with what I'm doing, I found that I could find a shortcut in life. Most people are so afraid of like fake failure. They're so afraid of rejection. They're so afraid of these things that I just call like first world problems. It's like, man, I'm afraid of getting a no. And they equate it to literally like a lion hunting them in prehistoric times and swallowing them whole. They get so afraid of these things that for me are just nothing more than just circumstantial negatives that you're going to overcome and you're going to forget about in 3 to 5 years. Things like bankruptcy. Oh my God, it's embarrassing. Yeah, sure it is. And then in 7 years later, your slate is cleaned and you can start all over again or less than that. And I made a decision, live with intentionality. So that to me was defining moments in your life. Know what they truly mean. And to me, the things that mean a lot to me mean a lot to me. I don't allow experiences in my life to just be passive. I don't allow connections to be passive. I'm super intentional about people, about intentions, about my own intentions. And I like to spot giftings. I like to spot giftings in other people. I like to understand my own giftings that I've received that I can use to better the world. So I think that is such an important thing, is live on purpose. So I always resonate with that frequency. If it's about purpose, it's about intentionality, it's about impact. The other thing too is I really started looking at what are some of the guiding principles of my life that again would help me. And one of them I call the end game. And the end game is an exercise by which I evaluate myself. I imagine myself as an 85-year-old, 90-year-old man sitting in a rocking chair, gray hair, the whole bit. And I ask myself the question, with what your father and your mother, both of them, with what they gave you, did you do what you were designed to do? Or did you allow somebody or something circumstantially to get in your way? And when I play that exercise, dude, I can tell you that nothing in my present day will kill my future. Nothing. Not a person, not an attitude, not a hater on Instagram. None of that stuff for me is consequential enough to stop me from what this thing I call purpose. So that game, that end game to me is so profound that no man can take from me what God has given me, which is this purpose. No man can take this from me. So I live my life in such a way where I choose faith over fear because of this. Like everything to me is symptomatic in life. Because I choose to live this way, I automatically have to choose faith. I have to move. My dad taught me that faith is a verb, not a noun. And I'm moving through faith every day to get to my outcome because he had to. My dad didn't have all the answers. Mom didn't have the answers. They just moved through faith to get to that refugee camp. And I'm moving in the same way throughout life, if that makes sense.
Dude, I love it. I absolutely love it. Ben, you've got a unique mindset, and the mindset is what's going to make Ben go to where Ben goes. Do you guys hear it? I hope you can hear the difference of thought processes that are pretty much on command here. I'm lucky that I get to have a lot of very unique guests on, and most every guest has some sort of a unique mindset, and it kind of shows, and I can see the roadmap of why they are where they are and where they're going. The piece that you just said that really hit me was the faith over fear. I'm actually reading a new book right now called Outwitting the Devil, Napoleon Hill's book. And a gentleman named Pete Vargas, who you know very well, said it was one of his favorite books he's ever read. And it's talking about faith over fear. And I never have thought about that concept in my entire life, that in your mind, you've got this fear side and this belief and faith side. And really, it comes down to what side are you focused on. During my snowboarding career, I was very driven by fear. Fear drives you, right? So does faith. So you got to tune in and be aware of who you're feeding. And so when I've been reading this book, it's just been, I'm 38. How do I not hear of this concept till now? Like how much more is there to know that I don't know? But do you have any books or anything that you have been reading or lately, or that you would say would be, let's say people are stuck, they're here, they're trying to get their real estate game going. They're just not getting that first deal. What would be something that you could give them to help them move the needle and get unstuck? Anything you could think of? Any books? Any ideas?
I will give you some powerful concepts that I use daily that really, really help me. That I think that if your audience applies these two things, I think it will drastically change the way that they do life. There's two big pivotal things that I focus on in this respect. Number one, I have learned to lower my expectations, but increase my intention. And what I mean by that is we are so addicted to perfection, we turn everything into idolatry. Man, I got to get the perfect picture, the perfect this, the best deal, the best property, the best this, the best, everything is the best until it becomes an idol. And what happens is when it becomes the best and you're always swinging for home runs, you're inevitably going to miss because you're a human. And when you miss, when you fail, it's so devastating for you because you set your expectations so high. I would rather lower my expectation, but increase my intentionality, because when I lower my expectation and I increase my intentionality, I apply room for grace. I apply space for learning. I apply room for humility, which to me is a superpower. And most people they don't want to get started because they won't get it perfect. Mm-hmm. Like I meet so many investors, man, who want to get in this business, and I'm a KPI and numbers kind of guy, and oh man, I'm really struggling in my real estate. And what they do is they give me the story, not the data, and I get to the data right away. Man, save the story. Tell me, how many offers did you make today, though? I haven't made any. How many no's did you get last month? I haven't got any no's so far. Then you haven't started. People aren't struggling. They simply haven't even started to apply enough effort where it even matters.
Mm-hmm.
So that is such a powerful concept. Like I come on this podcast, dude, I don't know what questions you're going to ask me. I don't know if this is going to be great. I don't know if it's going to be horrible, but here's what I believe. I believe that I'm like, dude, if he just shows up, I'm already on fire. If he just shows up, this is already a winning formula for us. I don't need you to hand me the best possible questions. I need to just speak truth. So for me to live in faith is for me to realize that faith will require action, and I need to live by that action. And if everything was perfect, it would not require faith.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It would be fact. I need faith, not facts. Hey, man, I'm going to move towards this outcome. I'm going to struggle. I'm going to fail. I'm going to get up. I'm going to keep going. And this isn't a David Goggins-esque kind of moment. This is a reality check that you expect too much. You're entitled to success. And that's why you can't capture success.
That's great. Before we go to number 2, I just want to comment a little bit on this. This is such good content. This is such good content, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that it moves you in the sense that so often we think about, how am I going to get there? You know, the question that always comes up is how, and you don't always know how. Most of the time, you don't know how, but you start and you work on what's in front of you right now. You take action on what you have right here, right now, and you're going to adjust course along the way. So I love it. What's number 2, if you have one, Ben?
Well, I'll just say this one piece. You know, like people are too greedy and they expect the outcome too quickly. They expect the result today. The level of anticipation, there's a lack of respect for the process. And because we don't respect the process, we want that instant everything, instant life, instant gram, instant food, instant delivery. We think success is instant, and there's nothing instant about it. It's work. It's work, and it's hard. And what nobody will tell you is that 80 to 90% of business is just garbage, hard, problem-solving things every single day. And then there's 10% of glory. 10% you'll see on a podcast. 10% you'll see a flashy car. What you don't see is the mental anguish, the physical anguish, the relationships, the financial constraints, the risk. That's 90% of the game. But people walk into it love drunk. They walk into the idea of being an entrepreneur or business owner, and they're entering a honeymoon stage. And by the time they sober up, they realize they don't actually want to do this.
Gosh, dude, such great reminders. I hear that right now. I'm thinking, have I been like, why is it so tough? Why are things so challenging? You know, it's like we're in a challenging time right now with interest rates. If you own real estate, you know what I'm talking about. And this is what Ben's talking about right now. 90% of it is a challenge. There's a little bit of glory, and then most of it is a challenge. And that's how everything has been. If I look back at my life, if I'm going through my snowboarding career, the X Games part we built, 98% of it was falling, and it was brutal. The 1% was landing it, and the 1% was luckily winning it, if you were lucky to win. So most of it was just failure constantly, and very small successes along the way to keep you jacked and keep you focused on your goal. But most of it is just failure after failure after failure. One other point I wanted to bring up, Ben, that I think is super powerful, that I think about a lot in my life, is I'm 38 years old, like I was saying, and I get concerned that my life with my kids, and I'm missing it. I'm not there enough. Time's moving too quickly, and my kids are growing up. I got a 10-year-old now. And you said I look at the end game, and I evaluate myself as a 90-year-old man. Did I do and did I live the life that I was able to with what I was given? One thing Jesse Itzler said from the stage was, he said that he takes his experiences and he can stop time. He can take time and slow it down by gathering experiences. So one thing that we did last week is we went to Disney World, and it wasn't particularly something I really love to do, and I'm not really excited to go, but the experiences that my kids and I had, specifically my kids, that they enjoyed, and some of the memories were great. And it doesn't have to be Disney World. It could be simply like, we're going camping for 4 days in the backyard, and that experience can't be taken away with time. So as you age and you go from 38 to 40 to 41, and you have this ideally 20, 30, 40-year run, and you take these experiences with you when you get old, you can say you beat time. And I thought that was invaluable. That still got me so excited to think about that. I can put these ideas and these plans. This kind of, when you were talking about being 90 years old, did you live the life that you were given? This is another little cherry pick moment where you can plan your years out, and you can attend these little events that are unique. He calls them Kevin's rules. I don't know if you guys have followed Jesse Itzler. Look him up. He's got this calendar that's Build Your Life Resume. It's fantastic. But he does these 6 different events throughout the year where he goes into a unique spot with his family or friends, and they're basically memories that he is now making that goes with him forever. So I got a little off tangent there, but I thought when you talked about Endgame, the thing with time, that's the thing I notice about people that are super motivated, is they're very tuned into the passing of time and how it's limited. You have any thoughts on time? Anything that you've
Totally.
got?
I'll hit you with piece number 2, and then we'll do time very quickly. Here's what I believe. I believe that most of us are so busy feeding the flesh every day that we starve the spirit. And to me, the difference is that feeding the flesh feels good in the moment. There's a lot of emphasis on feelings. And what I believe is, like, it feels good to eat a cheeseburger. It feels good to binge watch TV. There's a lot of emotional endorphin release. There's a lot of good feelings. The problem is you trade your fulfillment and your purpose for short-term feelings. I believe that we need to do a better job. And here's my focus. I want to starve the flesh, that's the feelings, and feed the spirit, that's the doing. I want to just do good every day. It's not going to feel good, but I want to do good. Like, I get up at 4 a.m. and I go to the gym and I work out with NFL players. I do this every day now. And it doesn't feel good. I'm not a morning guy. I'm all these labels that I told myself I don't like doing it. But I can tell you what, after 2 months, I'm down 7 pounds. I'm looking leaner. I'm looking better. I'm hanging out with NFL guys. I get to have awesome conversations. And what's so powerful to me about this concept is that this is how I lived my life for over a decade. I don't care how it feels. I'm just going to do. If I do and I do and I do, if I take care of my mind, my body, my business, my marriage, if I just do the things that don't feel good, apologize when I'm wrong, starve the flesh, feed the spirit, what happens is you're going to end up with what you're actually looking for, which is fulfillment. Living in purpose is a greater feeling than feelings.
Dude, I love it. God, it's
but
so
there's
good.
There's a delayed gratification on fulfillment, but feelings are instant. So you have to decide which master you want to serve. Yeah. The one that created you, that wants you to live in purpose, or the feelings that happen every day that take you off track and distracted. That's my second piece. I hope that piece hits your audience hard, man, because it hit me hard over the years.
So let's recap those real quick, because I'm taking notes over here, you guys. I love this part of being a real estate investor. You get to talk with people like Ben and tons of other folks who are very unique and have a lot of really great thought habits. So faith over fear. Number 1 is lower expectations and increase intention. And number 2 was feeding the flesh and starve the spirit. And feeding the flesh would be like doing things that don't feel good and do the things of action no matter what.
Yeah, so backwards. I want to starve the flesh, because the flesh is the feely part. We're trying to feel good in our flesh. And I want to feed my spirit. My spirit wants to do great things. My flesh is weak because I'm a man. My flesh is weak. There's temptation. There's sin. I want to starve that piece out. So if you can't get off the couch, then don't own a television. That's what that means. Like, you can't get off the couch. You're binge watch Netflix. You're a young man. You have an addiction to pornography. Cut your internet. Get rid of the things that create temptation in your life. Cut the things that'll make you feel good so that you can go and do good.
Gotcha. So I did have those switched on. So now I got my notes right. I'm glad we went over this. Lower expectations and increase intentions, and then starve the flesh and feed the spirit.
Yes, sir. Amen.
Dude, love it. Love it. Okay, good. One thing with starving the flesh, Jesse Itzer does these cold baths, and he had us doing those. Oh my gosh. Talk about starving the flesh. Well, literally put the cold water in, dump in bags of ice so it's on the verge of freezing, go sit in it for 2 minutes and just see how you feel. Have you done that at all yet, Ben?
I haven't. That sounds like a starve the flesh activity I need to do.
Yeah, we did it. Did it twice there, and we've done it once at home now. 2 minutes then, and literally thought I was going to die. I hate cold water. It was a very unique experience. Something very gratifying happens after you're done. I don't know what it is or why. Next day, did it again after a 10-mile run. A very unique experience. Sucked just as bad both times. Did it at home here in my bathtub the third time. And I think it's something that I just need to continue to start doing. I'm not sure why, other than the sense that I think there's going to be more grit and there's going to be more clarity on saying yes, no, go, don't go. And that's really it. So, and I think about all these other guys who are doing it. I mean, Tony Robbins talks about getting an ice bath every morning. He hates it every morning. Jesse Itzer does it. Why are these guys doing it? I don't know why, but there's got to be something. So I'm going to go figure it out a little bit.
I'll give you one of the best contexts for this whole topic, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I believe that like people who gossip and negativity, none of that produces spiritual growth for you. None of it will leave you with a feeling with fulfillment in what you need to do for purpose. What it does is humans have this need to belong. Humans have this desire to be around other humans and to share feelings. And sharing feelings is how you are connected with people. But when you share negative feelings, when you share the gossip and you share the criticism and you share the when you share those things for a moment, you'll feel better. I know people their entire life, every time they get around another human being, it's just a negative conversation. Always negative, always criticism, always gossip. Did you see this? Did you do that? See, all of that stuff to me is feeding the flesh. You'll feel great, but at what cost? What's the real price of eating that gossip cheeseburger? How many calories did you consume? How many seeds of doubt and negativity and scarcity did you plant in another human, and did they plant in you? Like, bro, I'm a big believer that if your eyes don't see it, if your mouth doesn't speak it, and your ears don't hear it, it doesn't exist. If a tree hits the ground and I'm not there to hear the sound, it never hit the ground as far. If I never see the gossip, if I never see the news media, if I never read the newspaper, if I'm not watching the headlines, guess what? It does not exist to me. That doesn't mean it's not a reality for somebody else. That doesn't mean it's not happening in the world. But for me, dude, I choose what I want to put into my body. Just like food, I choose what I want to put into my mind. Yeah. It helps me overcome so many circumstances where people live in scarcity and they go, how do you live in so much abundance? It's because I'm choosing not to put that poison in.
Well, how did you figure that out? What was, because could not agree more.
I'll tell you how I figured it out, because at first it feels good to gossip and to live in negativity. The problem is, how do you feel when you're isolated on day 2? Nobody gossips in public and then goes home and feels great. They gossip in public, they spew negativity, they spew fear, and then they go home and in their moments of isolation, they replay the same negativity over and over and over in their mind. And as they replay it, it leads to more anxiety, more depression, more negative thinking. And then they got to go spew it out again to get it out. And eventually you're creating a cycle of fear and depression. Gauge your heart. Go home and gauge yourself. Go have a horrible conversation, negativity, spew garbage, and then go home in isolation and tell me you're happy. Show me the abundance that came out of your scarcity. And I guarantee you it does not exist. And I've noticed a pattern in my own life that every time I got around gossip and negativity, it did not better the quality of my life, because it did not better the quality of my mind. I want pure thinking. I want pure thoughts, and I cannot pollute my brain. So it was a self-experiment. I heard about it. I tried it out. And I'm like, dude, the litmus test does not lie. I feel like crap. It's just like heavy drinking. Like, everybody wants to drink when they're around their friends and it's a great time. How do you feel the next morning when you're hungover? I think people have emotional hangovers and they lead to binge drinking of more emotional negativity. And before you realize it, you have lost all of your emotional resilience in the process. You have no recoil. You just live in a sea of doubt and fear. And what you see every day, what the mind sees and the ears are going to hear, guess what? That becomes life.
So let's
have a negative life.
Yeah. So let's turn that. I love it. So basically, your thought process is, I hang out with people that uplift me. I speak uplifting things. I read uplifting things. I shut out anything negative.
I start with me giving positive things, give positivity, hang out with positive people, be grateful for the people you have. And that's where growth comes from. It works both ways. Listen, growth happens and depression happens. What's the difference between a growth market and a depressed market? But like, once they start moving more. So my belief is exactly what you said, dude. I want to combat and counteract the negativity with positivity. You're not going to combat the devil going to hell. You ain't going to win going to hell trying to fight the devil. It just doesn't work. So I don't ever believe that negativity produces any long-term fruit, because I believe it just plants bad seed.
I love it. I love it. So let's talk about the future here before we wind this down, because it's already been almost 45 minutes talking. So you're 37 years old, married 14 years. What are your goals? What are you looking to do over the next couple decades? Or let's just say 5 years first. Where are you at?
Man, it's impact over income for me. I believe we'll make millions of dollars and do way more deals, and that's all great and that's all fantastic. But impact, I truly want to do the thing that my dad started doing, which is helping people on a global level, like, through education, through awareness, through empowering people with opportunity. I believe, because I'm a very tactical person, that I'm going to be involved in a lot of tactical commonwealth things where I can help people be a part of things like real estate investing in a much more practical way. I believe information is great, but we live in the information age, and information does not equal outcome. I believe information is the start, and information should be free. So I've been helping to kind of make this a movement, especially in places like Canada. But I believe in joint commonwealth. How do we get people together? How do we collaborate where everybody wins, where we can create machines where everybody can participate in the economics of that machine? This ain't about me making more money. Can you imagine if I could help 30 people get together and we could all buy real estate together by divvying up the workload, giving everybody a responsibility that makes sense for them? And then in 20 years, the real estate lift, the appreciation and debt repayment have gotten to benefit 10 families now and their lineage. And one of their sons will be like me because this person who got started was just a brand new person to real estate. I believe that's where the value happens, where we're able to turn the tables, man. Turn the tables and help empower people with real applicable things so they can change the quality of their life. And there's three scarcities to me. There's money scarcity, and until you encounter it and fight it, you're going to have it. Then there's time scarcity. And then there's meaning and purpose. Like, I want people to live in purpose, but for them to do that, they got to conquer money. They got to conquer time. There's no purpose conversations if you're a slave to time and a slave to money.
And I love that. I've never heard that before. The three scarcities: money, time, meaning, and purpose. And that would make total sense because, yeah, you've got to first take care of money. If you don't have money, you're not going to have time. Then how do you handle the time once you have the money? And then how do you live a purposeful life once you have both under control?
You got to have both, man, because you got to be living in abundance. So I took Maslow's thing and turned it into 3 levels.
I love it, dude. When you say your goals of impacting 30 folks all buy a deal together, it sounds like you're talking about something we do really a lot of, is syndication. You buy a piece of real estate as a group, everyone comes in their strength zones. A lot of them are just passive investors that, hey, I got extra cash, please put it to work. You got your asset managers, you got your LPs, you got your GPs, you've got your legal team, you've got your management company. Everyone comes together and you successfully move the needle on an asset. So I'm assuming you'll have a big role in that in the months and years to come. So anything to leave the guests with closing thoughts of anything you want to talk about that we didn't bring up, anything, a way for people to get in contact with you?
Yeah, I'll give you this kind of last premise here. We all listen to these podcasts and we look at what we call the hero's journey. And there's a guy who tells his story, or a gal tells her story. And you're like, wow, that's cool for them. Maybe I can do it. I see some similarities in my journey. I just want people listening to remember that you are still writing this thing called life, the book that you have called life, your life. And you might be in a chapter of the book that's tough and difficult and the market's hitting you in the face. All you need to do is continue writing. It doesn't matter what your present day adversity is. Your adversity is a weapon. It's a weapon for growth or for destruction. You either become a victim of your adversity, or you turn your adversity and go, this pushes me to win, and I'm still writing this page of my book, and it's okay if you struggle. Because I promise you one thing: slow, daily, consistent progress over time will give you an outcome. Just keep moving forward. Don't stop. Keep moving forward. Find great quality people like Dan. Put them in your life. Be a part of their circles. Share the podcast. And just remember, you're not alone. There's so many people that are trying to grow together. All you got to do is plug in and just keep moving.
God damn, Ben. I love it. That is a powerful thought to have, and something that I think every listener can take with them. And just keep in mind, wherever you are, keep going. Keep going. I absolutely love it. Slow, consistent progress will give you an outcome. And that, like, thinking about anytime I've had success in my life, that has been it. It's been days of grinding, day after day. Things don't go easy. You just keep going. So, Ben, thank you so much for being on. Is there a way for people to get in contact with you? I know you kind of MC some events, you do some of that kind of stuff. Is there anything that they should be looking at as listeners there?
Yeah, we got all kinds of stuff at humble.ceo. You just go to humble.ceo or Ben Humble on Instagram, get access. We do events and podcasts and shows, and all kinds of cool stuff. So yeah, I'd love to connect and help you guys. And thank you, Dan. Love and respect for you, brother, for putting this information together and helping people as much as you do.
Hey, appreciate you coming on, Ben. You're a unique guy. Thanks for being here.